Hello, everybody, and welcome to another random episode of General Geekery. With me,
Hello.
as always, is JD. We've been trying to get the guys from Skeletron on to talk about the Robo Skull, but we just can't seem to get times worked out between us and them. They're pretty busy hitting all the conventions, and we were going to do it this weekend, but I'm going to a convention this weekend, so I don't know when or if we will get the guys on. Hopefully at some point in time, but in the meantime, we're just going to have another random episode of General Geekery because kind of a lot's happened. Just like random stuff. We had the Hasbro Pulse announcement. If you're a Dune fan, the Dune movie finally came out. There was a new James Bond movie. There's a bunch of new stuff out. Or coming out.
And well, I've been looking at the pictures that they've been taking at those cons of the Robo Skull that they're promoting, and God, that thing is huge.
Yeah,
I know that they said that it's adaptable to hold both the 4-inch figures and the 6-inch figures, but I still underestimated how big they would have to make it to accommodate both scales. Wow, I'm impressed. Like,
I haven't seen like a side by side of the original with theirs yet, but
I haven't seen a
I'm
picture
guessing
of
it's probably close to double the size of the original.
it. Has to be, because I haven't seen a picture of the new Robo Skull next to the original, but I have seen a picture of the new one next to the G.I. Joe Tomahawk, and the G.I. Joe Tomahawk, well, it looks kind of piddly next to it. It's a little bit. I never stopped to question the scale of the Tomahawk until I saw that picture, and now I'm just like, wow, Lift Ticket needs a bigger ride. He needs a bigger helicopter.
I hadn't questioned the scale of the Tomahawk either until I'd actually ridden in the Chinook.
Okay. See, you have life experience that I don't have, but
Yeah.
So you've ridden in one before?
Too many times. That's why I have hearing loss.
Is that the helicopter you got trained to jump out of?
No.
To do the okay.
No.
So okay, so basically the Tomahawk is too damn small, and
it's way out of scale.
So but yeah, I never was bothered by it. Then I saw it next to the new Robo Skull, and I'm like,
because I think you can get like 30 people in the back of a Chinook.
Oh,
yeah,
you could barely squeeze 4 guys into the back of the.
No, you can get a shitload of people and a lot of gear in the back of a Chinook. Nice. I'm pretty sure it's like 30, and it has like a 4-man crew.
All right, so basically
4 or 6, I don't remember. It's a lot of people.
I mean, obviously most of the Joe vehicles are underscaled for the sake of selling them, but it just now it makes me want to see somebody do like a 3D printed Tomahawk that's more in scale with. And I say 3D printed because lately all I'm seeing is pictures of people 3D printing everything. I've seen so many Joe vehicles that are upscaled to fit with the classified stuff that it makes me want to see upscale vehicles that just fit more properly next to the 4-inch guys.
Absolutely.
But so I mean, it would be nice if we get the Skeletron guys on with us, but I mean, if we can't. Maybe after their crazy Kickstarter is over, but
we'll get him on at some point.
Yeah, we wanted to touch base. Lots of toy announcements, movies that Brian went to see that I didn't. I still have yet to see any of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies all the way through. I try, but I'm just like, no.
Shame. And I grew up watching James Bond. I mean, that was one of the few things that I appreciated my dad for was getting me into James Bond. So yeah, I'm a huge James Bond fan, have been my entire life. I've seen every movie multiple times. And
I've seen most of the Connery movies. I like maybe half of them. I've seen both of the Dalton movies. I like those. I've seen the Brosnan movies. I liked half of those. I am not a devoted James Bond fan, and yeah, I tried with the Daniel Craig ones. I tried with Casino Royale. I tried with Skyfall.
Yeah, Skyfall.
I'm like, these movies are not for me. These are no. Damn it, move it along.
We have a full set of, Emily's even a James Bond fan. We have a full set of the Ian Fleming books too.
Yeah, I've never
because Emily has watched all of the movies and read all of the books and made a notebook comparing the books to the movies.
And she really likes her notebooks full of notes on quirky things.
She's a nerd.
I can't. I think here's the thing with the Craig Bond movies. If I was to sit down with a big fan, like next time I'm at your house, if we were to watch one, I could probably get through it. But a lot of the times I'm trying to watch it by myself and I'm just like, I don't care that much. So, yeah, but that's not just Daniel Craig, but that's like half the movies. That's like half the movies that I've never seen before that I try to watch, that sometimes it takes me 2 sittings because my attention span only goes for so long before I get distracted by customs or my phone, or customs and my phone, which is why I end up doing repeat viewings of a lot of stuff, because it's more like noise than it is. So
that's why I got a second hand-me-down TV, a flat screen TV, not a small one, and I have it sitting in my customizing room, and I can hook my computer up to it. And a lot of times, especially when I'm doing customs from movies, I'll loop the movie. Like when I was doing my Predator, my Dutch from Predator, and my Captain Miller from Saving Private Ryan, I put those movies on and just loop it.
That is the way to do it sometimes. Because when you watch a movie a few times, you just, even if you're not giving it your full attention, between multiple viewings, you will catch the whole thing. But
yeah, I remember doing that. I made a Microman custom using, I used a Microman figure to make a Conan the Barbarian from the first Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan movie. And I remember having that thing on repeat and having the music that's kind of in the end fight scene. I remember having that like stuck in my head for like a month.
I wouldn't know that music if I heard it. But to be fair, most movies I watch, especially the first time or two through, unless they've got music that's like a big showpiece, like over top of the action going on. Like if it's just background music, I'm not gonna know this usually. So sometimes if I hear a soundtrack and I'm like, was this music all in the movie? Because
same way. But there's definitely a piece of music there towards the end that it's like there's no dialogue at all, so it's just the music. So it's very, very noticeable.
Last week my buddy Monty posted he had a picture of Conan the Barbarian on Facebook, and he basically asked Facebook as a whole which version of Conan is your favorite, because I think the picture he had was from the Marvel comics, because he's got a long legacy in the Marvel comics long before there was movies. But I jokingly put up a GIF image of Conan O'Brien, and I said, this is the only Conan that I care about. But
I would have to say mine would be Frank Frazetta art. Frank Frazetta is an amazing artist and did a lot of the covers for the original Conan books.
Well, his work was so iconic that he's the one that ended up doing so much of the design work for the Masters of the Universe. Um, and if you watch the Masters of the Universe Revelation on Netflix,
I haven't
in the
watched
first,
it. I want to. I haven't. I want to watch it. I just haven't had the time to sit down
well,
and do it.
it opens up with some voiceover narration that sets up the action, and some of the Frank Frazetta art is there.
Ah,
But they animated it so it moves around, and oh, super cool,
yeah,
super cool.
yeah. I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah, even if you don't watch the whole series or all the episodes, oh god, at least watch the first like 5 minutes. It's impressive.
Speaking of Netflix, I noticed uh, one of the big. I'm not much of an anime fan, but one of the biggest animes that even I've heard of is Cowboy Bebop, and
I've heard of it. I've never watched it, but
they're having a live action, and it starts next month. I watched the trailer for it. I've looked at the comments. You know, like all the like gatekeeper diehard fans hate it, but man, I like the looks of it. It looks good. It looks like it's going to be enjoyable.
I'm gonna give it a
Anything
watch.
about it, so I'm not. I have no expectations. But I'm going to watch.
Me neither. I have no context for it. I've never seen the anime it's based on. I I have a anime is fine for what it is, but a lot of times I can't. Sometimes I can get into it, sometimes I can't.
Yeah, same here.
But I just never tried to watch Cowboy Bebop. But yeah, I do dig the look of the movie.
Yeah, no, it's a series, I think, and it looks good.
Yeah, the live action. See, so I'll probably give it a watch, and if I like it, maybe I'll. Of course, fans. Of course, there is. Good God. I. But people complain about modern fandom has too much gatekeeping, but gatekeeping's always been a part of geek culture.
Yeah, it has, but I think it's just a lot more prevalent with the advent of social media.
Well, that's because everybody has a voice.
Exactly.
But if you go back and you read, if you read stuff that was written in the 70s and 80s in fan publications and stuff for sci-fi or gaming stuff, it's always been there. It's more obnoxious now because of social media, but there's always been fans that feel the need to question newer or less hardcore fans, and I don't understand it. Just leave people alone. Leave people alone. Let people have their fandom at whatever level they want. Who cares? It doesn't make them any less or more of a legitimate fan. Just leave people alone. Let people enjoy.
Speaking of comic book adaptations made into series, we had talked about this on a previous episode. One of our guests mentioned it. Y: The Last Man. First couple episodes were really cool, and then it just it was horrible. I stopped watching it.
Yeah, previous guest Mike Faber. Since the news came out that there was not going to be a second season, if I'm not mistaken, I think he said they only got a few episodes in and they stopped too. And that was before the news came out that there wasn't going to be a follow-up season. And some of the responses that they put in the ESO fan group basically were like, well, it was on my list of things to watch, but I'm not going to now because essentially there's no point getting invested or enjoying it if you know there's not going to be any more. I never tried to watch it. I had thought about it, but I thought, no, it's just going to be depressing.
Well, it's kind of funny because we were watching it, and when we stopped watching it, Emily and I were talking, and she says, I completely understand what JD means when he stops watching stuff, when he says, I wasn't invested in it. None of the characters were interesting, and they were all horrible people.
Yeah. I have a lot of trouble getting into something if I can if after a couple episodes I can't identify with any of the characters, it's gonna have a short shelf life with me.
Yeah.
But even if there's one or two characters I can latch on to, I'm like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, when the whole cast is doing a good job playing a whole lot of unlikable people, you know what? There's very little chance I'm gonna stick with it.
And
So
the premise
it's funny.
was dark to begin with, but they kind of updated it to fit the modern world. And if I wanted political intrigue that would just piss me off, I'd watch the news. They spent way too much time on the political intrigue. I mean, it was kind of there in the background in the comic books, but it was not the primary focus. And it was like half of the focus in the show.
Oh, wow, that's annoying. The very first response I saw to the news that it was being canceled, at the announcement, the very first response I saw by somebody was, they're like, well, during a pandemic was probably the wrong time to release something that's about a plague wiping out the population. I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure they thought that one through.
I think they thought it would be, and just like they backed the wrong horse on that one. And it's the same.
Oh, you mean
political drama?
Oh, you mean you think they put it out because of the then they decided that maybe people would find relevance in it that they would not have found other. That is a good point.
I think that's exactly what they were trying to do, and it's the same thing with the political drama, because that's exactly what's going on right now. And I think they thought people would find relevance in it, and it was miserable. It's like, if I wanted to be this miserable, I'd watch the news.
Yeah, there's a case to be made both ways, but I know for me, a lot of what I want to watch is escapist type television, even if it's just something as mostly toothless as like NCIS is. It's still not the real world. It's nonsense. They can't solve a crime like this in 24 hours.
Right.
And they don't, but not that I'm saying it's impossible, but sometimes that's just as much realism as I need. Set it in the real world, or set it in a fictional world that reflects the real world, but don't give me the real world. I'm
a little late to the party, but I started watching SEAL Team, the CBS show.
Hey, you're more current than I am. I still haven't gotten to that one.
I had picked up a couple of bootleg of season 1 and 2. Just my thought was to get ideas for customs, but ended up just like getting drawn into the show and enjoying it. I'm about halfway through season 2, but I know it's up to like season 6 or something like that. So I got a long way to go, but
hey, that's cool though. When you start a show and you realize you've got a lot more show left to go before you catch up to it, that's my favorite part.
And it's enjoyable. I like it. I like the characters. I think they've done really good character development. I mean, just what I've seen. The second season, I had to kind of laugh. Whoever made the second season is a big fan of the Sicario movies with Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
And Josh Brolin in them. And it really shows. I mean, from the filters they're using for the photography to the music to the plot, it's somebody's a Sicario fan.
That's funny. It may have been somebody that was on the same production. Like it may be, but it's funny when you can watch one medium and then you watch another medium and you can see some familiar overtones.
Yeah.
Because
I never even knew about the first Sicario movie. I saw the second one when it came out, when it got released to like iTunes. I got it when the digital release came out. I didn't see it in the theater, and I posted on like my customizing page that I'm like, this is a fantastic movie, and somebody's like, that's the sequel, you know? And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, there's another one out there. I'm like, real? No, there isn't. And they're like, yeah, go look. There's another Sicario movie. So I was like,
well,
sweet.
And I've only seen the first one, but I had never watched it until. Hey, don't chew on that. Hang on, the kitten's chewing on a cable wire. Get out of here. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Here, you sit here. You do the podcast with us, okay? Thanks. Yeah, yeah. I never watched Sicario, and then you made that. You made those customs from it. That's what got me to go watch the first one.
Yeah, I made
and
Kate Blanchett's character from the first one, and then I made Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin's character from the second one.
Yeah, because I rented both movies, and like if I rent a movie on Amazon to stream it, I'm terrible. Sometimes, they give you 30 days to start the damn thing, and I'm terrible. If I don't watch something in the first day or two, sometimes I just forget about it. And every once in a while, Amazon will send you a periodic email.
Oh, to remind you. Yeah.
That you've got this thing to watch. Like at the 15-day mark, time's running out. Sometimes it still goes in one ear and out the other. But can't tell you how many rentals I've let lapse. And that was one of those where I think I watched the first Sicario after a couple weeks, and then I never got around to the second one, and the rental ran out. What I did watch was the first Venom. Because I do want to see the sequel.
I am not interested in that at all. I was a huge Venom fan when I was a kid. I had I had his first appearances in Spider-Man 2, 98, 99, and 300. And like his first like 10 appearances in Spider-Man. I wish I still had those comic books. I don't anymore. But the trailer for that looked horrible. And I just have not, I like the actor that's in it. I like Venom. So, I mean, it seems like this is something that I should like, but it just, I don't know. It just doesn't, I'm still kind of gun shy after Spider-Man 3.
I am a marginal at best Venom fan, so I have zero investment in it. And it's amusing what they've done with it. And I admit I want to see the second one because, well, Carnage is cool. Venom spawned Carnage, and most of my identification with those characters comes from the early to mid 90s, when they were both cool and new and relevant. Okay, Venom wasn't new, but he was at the height of his popularity. So there were all these other symbiote characters that came out at the same time. So I was into all that stuff, but I've got a marginal investment in it, so the movie was kind of ideal for me. I do want to go see the second one, and I looked, and it's still playing, so I'm like, maybe I'll go see it this weekend. Or maybe I'll go see it tomorrow, perhaps. Not Sunday, obviously, it's Halloween. For the first time in 3 years, my son is dressing up for Halloween.
Sweet.
He is. Well, I got him a Bigfoot costume.
I saw that pictures on social media. That is hilarious.
That kid loves Bigfoot. He loves monsters in general. Godzilla, King Kong, all that. He loves that stuff. I took him to go see that in the theater. Everything that's weird or cryptoid or monster-ish, yeah, he loves that stuff. I was buying those Leonard alien figures because he loves the xenomorphs. He could not care less about the rest of it. He just likes the xenomorphs.
Right.
So, but I think the Yeti and the Sasquatch are his favorite monster. So 3 weeks ago, he tells me he wants a Bigfoot costume for Halloween. Now, up until that point, I was under the assumption that we weren't doing Halloween because the last time we tried to do Halloween was 3 years ago when he decided there was some video game based costume that he wanted. And I told him the bad news that there was no officially licensed version. And I told him, but we can make one. And he refused. He did not want, he didn't what there was a video game called Half-Life 2. Yes. He wanted to be a specific character from it, but there were no licensed costumes. Yeah. And he was not interested in building his own costume for it. He wanted one from the game. And since there wasn't one, there was no other talking him into it. He just, no, that was it. He was, that was, and then the following year, he just had zero interest in having a costume. And I had asked him, well, what are you going to wear to school for the Halloween party if you're not going to wear a costume, dress up in a costume? He's like, I'm going to go as Blake. And I'm like, clever. So I'm like, I can't really argue with that. And last year, you know what? Last year, the world went off the rails. And even though technically there was trick-or-treating, the kids weren't in school. So there wasn't a lot of relevance. And he kept insisting Halloween was canceled because of COVID. I'm like, no, it isn't. He's like, yes, it is. Translation, I don't want to. So yes, it is.
Gotcha.
But this year he decided that he wanted a Bigfoot costume. So I found one and I'm like, wow, no, very little time to spare on that one. But so he was very excited. And so Sunday we're gonna go trick-or-treating.
Sweet.
But my daughter is gonna get dressed up because last year they got a plague doctor costume for their birthday that they were gonna wear. But on their birthday, it turned out, well, because it's in August, and it turned out to be a 90-degree day. So that wasn't very practical. And then the thought was, well, we could use it for Halloween. And then again, there was little to no Halloween last year. So,
yeah.
So this year, they're going to wear it. And I don't know, I might throw together a costume too. So,
right on. Speaking of movies that you haven't seen, Emily and I went to go see Dune. Dune is probably my wife's favorite book ever, and I've read the book probably at least half a dozen times myself. And let's just say that if we'd had kids, and had a son, the son's name would have been Paul. There would have been no discussion about that, and it would not have been my idea.
Is their last name Atreides? Is that them? House Atreides. Okay. See, again, this is one of those properties that's big enough that having never watched it or read it, having no context for it, there's still certain things from pop culture that I've absorbed through osmosis. Sure. So House Atreides is one of those things.
Yep. So my kind of like short review of it is, all right, I like the books up until like the fourth book. After that, the author kind of lost it. He wasn't doing well physically or mentally, and he died just shortly before either finishing or just after finishing the seventh book, and it really shows. And then his son found his father's notes and has been writing his father's coattails, pumping out Dune books with Kevin Anderson, I think, who's a comic book author as well. And I've read two of those because it's supposed to end the original series, and they're horrible. And I read one of the other books, and I was like, he's just totally writing his father's coattails. But anyway, I love the first book. There was a John Lynch movie in 1984. Thank you, David Lynch movie in 1984.
During Sting.
Yes, absolutely. That people and Kyle MacLachlan, that people either absolutely hate or
absolutely love.
Yeah.
And there's very little gray area there. I've never seen it, but that's basically because everything I've ever seen is that's it. You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
And there's a very
I
good
would recommend
chance
watching both of those because, or there's an extended edition and then there's a like a theatrical release. I would recommend watching both of those, and then you get the kind of like the full picture of this. If you go see this Dune movie and you have not read the books and you have not seen the 1984 movie, there is a lot of stuff they don't explain because in the 1984 movie, there was a lot of voiceovers. So the voiceovers did a lot of explanation behind what some of the stuff was, and they don't do voiceovers in this one. So a lot of the stuff, it's not that it's unwatchable or that you won't understand it, but you will miss a lot if you do not, if you haven't already read the book or seen the movie.
What it comes down to for me is when it comes to something like that, see, it's funny because when it comes to Star Wars, I'm one of those people that I am unable to separate myself from it. Like I can't watch something Star Wars as a casual viewer because I know what's going on the screen and all the little characters.
It's
all
funny
that
you should say that. It's funny you should say that because we're gonna have to go. We're gonna go see it again because the whole time I was sitting there, I'm like, ooh, are they gonna say this particular line? Are they going to say this?
You're geeking out about it, so you can't get a proper picture of them because you're too busy geeking out about it.
Yes. I'm too busy trying to figure out what they're going to say, or are they going to show this? Are they going to do this? How are they going to do that? How are they going to put this in? Are they going to leave this out? And I did that throughout the whole movie. And I'm not going to say it ruined the experience, but I was too busy second guessing what they were doing and waiting for stuff to show up or somebody to say a specific line.
I have trouble watching movies based on Tom Clancy stuff for the same reason.
Yes.
I'm too busy waiting to see if there's certain characters are going to show up or which characters are they going to excise for the sake of
brevity.
Yeah. So we're
going to go see it again. Probably not next weekend because I'm on duty next weekend, or I think next Friday. But we're gonna go see it again. Just watch.
I may end up going to see it now. I'm not gonna watch it on HBO Max because I'm gonna have trouble watching the whole thing. Because again, it's gonna come down to I don't want to watch movies in 3 parts sometimes, but that is what ends up happening actually.
And it's long. It's a long movie, and it's not particularly fast-paced.
No, it's nothing. None of that has anything to do with whether or not. A lot of times, like if I'm in the theater, I have to watch the whole thing. But if I'm at home watching it, I want to watch the whole thing. But that is so far from being the same thing as have to watch the whole thing. Unless I'm sitting at home watching it with somebody, and then I'm a lot more likely to sit down and watch the whole thing. But now that they have announced that the second part is greenlit, I may now go see it. Part of the hang-up that I had was, well, what if, for whatever reason, box office or creative decisions, one or the other or both, what if, because I knew that it's a sprawling epic. I knew that this was this was not the Dune movie. This was the first Dune movie.
Yeah,
or the first part of
the series of books. Just the series of books that Frank Herbert wrote spans 3,600 years.
Yeah. So I can't. So I was reluctant to go see it because honestly, looking at the trailers, it does look interesting. I can see so much Star Wars influence that I'm curious about it.
And I'm not backwards.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, as a diehard Star Wars fan who's never read Dune, I'm well aware of how much of an impact Dune had on Star Wars. But for me, I'm not seeing it that way. For me, I'm just, I know that Dune came first by decades.
Yeah.
But I'm still looking at what's in the trailer and seeing so many Star Wars parallels that I am intrigued by it, but I did not want to go see it and really enjoy it.
And then not have the second part.
Right. Because I was kind of assuming that I'd be able to enjoy it. But if there was a chance that we weren't going to get the second part, I don't want to watch the whole thing because look, I was not invested. Yeah, I was not invested in a series called Divergent, but I did watch. It was one of those things where it was a trilogy of books, but they did the thing where remember how 10, 12 years ago they kept doing movies where they kept splitting the last part into two movies?
Yes.
Well, Divergent did that, but the second part of the final thing never came out. So there is no resolution. So instead of 4 movies, there were only 3. So the second part, I've never seen the third movie because I'm like, why? They never made the 4th movie. So I don't need those kind of questions. Again, I was not invested, but I liked them enough that I was into them. And I'm like, okay, so I didn't want to watch Dune in case for whatever reasons, maybe there wasn't going to be a second one. I don't want to get involved in that. So,
dig that.
So yeah, I think maybe I'll go see it now because I am happy for the people that are excited about this because this is a good thing. This is a good thing that they're making the second one because it's a big sprawling epic.
Yes,
and it's got a huge audience.
Although I think the director said that he has no interest to do anything past. That reminds. There is a sci-fi miniseries of the book, first book, and an amalgamation of the second and third book. It's technically named after the third book, but there's 2 sci-fi miniseries as well.
Is it a live action miniseries or like a CGI miniseries?
No, it's live action.
Okay. I didn't know there were miniseries, so
yeah. It's not bad. It's not. I liked it. There's they had a lot more time to go into the backstory. A lot of the term world building. I mean, geez, Frank Herbert. I won't say Frank Herbert invented it, but you start reading his books, and it's like there's a lot of world building in those books. It's like
a couple. Yeah, 2 years ago, I was looking at the audiobooks for Dune because one of them was on Audible, like advertised, like, and I'm like 56 hours. Are they nuts? I mean, I will sit down and I will listen to some Tom Clancy audiobooks that are unabridged, and sometimes they're 30 hours long, but I'm listening to them over the course of 2 weeks. But I know Dune's kind of dense, and I'm like, well, maybe someday, not this day. And that was 2 years ago when I was thinking that, but I'm like, that was, because I do believe the first movie was in production, but nobody had any idea that the pandemic was coming up and that everything was going to get pushed back a year or more. Still can't believe fucking Top Gun is pushed back again.
Till November, right?
It's pushed back again till next year.
Oh, I didn't see that.
The fuck.
I saw when it got pushed back to November, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's now on the slate for next summer. I'm like, come on. But as a big believer that the first one doesn't need a sequel, I don't care. I'm still gonna go see it, and I'm still excited.
But before I forget, preview saw the trailer for Matrix 4. I was like, why the fuck do we need a 4th Matrix movie? The second and the third movie. Second one was okay. The third one sucked ass.
I like the third movie. It's not good, and I like it anyways.
The 4th, we saw the trailer for the new Matrix movie.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. it looks fantastic. Neither Emily and I had any interest in it, and after the preview, we looked at each other and like, we're gonna go see that. So
yeah,
I am optimistic about the new Matrix movie. Now, I would not have said that a week ago.
Yeah, because
my original opinion is that is a movie that needed no sequels ever.
And because I'm wondering if it's the same trailer that came online I don't know, last month or whatever. And I remember thinking to myself, well, all right, so I'll be curious. Now it's been a long time since I saw those movies, but I'll be curious what the setup is for this one, because basically defeated the Matrix at the end of but now it looks like the Matrix was reset again, which is what they were trying to prevent happening, but it can't be prevented. And that's what it looks like it's happened, is that nobody actually remembers what happened because it was all reset. So I'll be curious how they handle this one.
Yeah, we're gonna go see it. I am optimistic about it. Excitedly optimistic, because it does look pretty good. So if you've read the Dune books, and this is definitely one of those, this is one of those fandoms that's so divided. It's like Star Wars, you have the original trilogy people that hate the sequels and the prequels, and you have the prequels that hate the sequels, and this is definitely one of those fandoms. So I cannot say that if you like this particular part of Dune that you will like this new movie, but I enjoyed it. I thought the cinematography was awesome. I think they did a really good job of like just big wide open desert kind of stuff, and I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing the second part, and we're going to go see it again. So if you like Dune, if you like the movie, the 1984 movie, the miniseries, or the book, maybe you'll like this one. I don't know. But
and if you're like me and you've never seen any of it or read any of it, but you like the look of the trailer and you're happy that there's a sequel coming so you can go see the first one, that's what I'm
gonna do. And Emily wants to talk to somebody that has not read the books or seen the movie to get their opinion on the movie.
Oh, good. So after I go see it, then we can have that discussion, because I am completely and totally. Holy shit! The cat's never been upstairs. The cat's only been here for but yeah, the door to the back obviously got left open. I didn't think the cat was ready to come upstairs yet. She's into everything. So, oh, hi, Jack.
He came up to see me. How about
you want
to come up here? All right. Yeah, Emily wants to talk to somebody that has not seen the movie, the miniseries, or read the books to see what their opinion on this movie is. So, yes.
Well, good. That'll be ideal for me, since I know next to nothing about it, except maybe a couple of character names. And I did appreciate the joke that Panama posted the other day. There was the poster from the Spice Girls movie, and he said, if you're going to see Dune, you might want to see the first one called Spice World first. I'm like, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I remember I do know that was one of the influences Star Wars took from Dune was, they mentioned the spice mines of Kessel. Well, the spice thing was a direct pull from Dune. So,
there's a lot of influence on Star Wars from Dune. Let's see, what else were we going to talk about? Oh, how about Hasbro Pulse? Boy, we talked about the Kickstarter for the Robo Skull. So HasLab has finally announced a HasLab project for G.I. Joe, and it is a Sky Striker, which looks very, very cool. And it's scaled for O-ring figures.
It is, I think it's a very fitting 40th anniversary celebration for G.I. Joe. they're
It's the
going to do a
35th
HasLab.
anniversary of the Sky Striker too, I think.
Yeah. Wait, what?
I think it said it's the 35th anniversary of the Sky Striker as well. I think it says that on their page.
That doesn't make any sense because the original was released in what, 1983?
I thought it was 85.
Oh, it's 83 because Ace was in series 2. He's yeah, because next year.
Oh yeah, 40th anniversary of the O-rings.
Yeah, because next year marks 40 years since the release of the first real American hero toys.
Yes.
So I do, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the Sky Striker was released at the end of 82, going into 83.
Yeah.
I think 83. Even though technically it's an 83 release.
Yeah.
I think it was one of that was available before. So I really think the Sky Striker is very fitting. I don't need it for $200, but
that's one of the things that's like just driving me crazy is people keep saying it's $230 for a Sky Striker. It's
hang on. It's well worth it. Yeah. My hang up with it is it comes with all those attachments and pieces to make it look like a diorama. It's got like the jet stream and it's got like all the
and two figures
all
and
the all the clear effects that come with all these Iron Man things. Yeah. They're still in the card. I don't need them.
Comes with 2 mini vehicles. It comes with this display stand. It comes with 2 figures. I mean, you get a lot for $230. They've retooled the landing gear so it's separate from the wing sweep.
Well, as a person who never had the original, I understand that was a problem. It
drove me crazy as a kid, especially after I saw Top Gun and saw that it flew with the wings swept out most of the time. So I could never fly my Sky Striker with the wings swept out because the landing gear was down. That drove me insane as a child.
Okay. Yeah, see, I can't identify with it because I never had the original. So I don't really know what they meant by it, but okay. So you can't fully deploy the wings in flight
because the landing gear is there's a lever on the top, and if you push it forward, the wings sweep forward and the landing gear comes down. If you pull it back, the wings sweep back and the landing gear folds up. And it was like that on the 30th anniversary Sky Striker 2. So when I did all my Seeker customs, I took them apart and I dremeled out the gears on the wings so I could sweep the wings, but the landing gear would still function with the lever.
Okay. So, because the only Sky Striker I've ever owned is one of those repaints that they did of the
30th anniversary one.
Yeah, and it's the Cobra one with the red and silver and the snake and all that.
Yeah, and it's the same thing, the lever.
But I never played that much with it, and it's in storage now, and I don't. So,
because I think the Sky Striker was my first big vehicle.
Yeah, and I never owned one. So, I mean, I know people are complaining about the cost, but a lot of times they're complaining about,
I think it's well worth it.
A lot of the complaints with the price is because it's compared to a vehicle that was only $30 when it came out for the 25th or the 30th or whenever the hell the Sky Striker was released. And some of those complaints are simply from people that don't want to cough up $200.
Well, and the one that came out in the 30th anniversary, they downscaled it so it only fit one figure, whereas the original sat 2. It didn't have the ejection seats like the original did. Didn't have parachutes like the original did.
And
there's a lot of stuff that they just like cut out of that 30th anniversary one from the original.
Well, and see, having never owned an original, I didn't know the difference. So I didn't know that it had ejector seats. And like this new one comes with like booster animation. There were like booster effects for the so it can be photographed actually ejecting from the plane, and
Yeah.
it's really cool.
I mean,
My whole thing
you
is
can
though, with
totally
all
hang it
those,
from the ceiling and do a replica of the time where Ripcord bails out of the Sky Striker over Cobra Island.
yeah, see, it's really cool that they have it equipped that you can set it up in all these different ways and make cool dioramas and photos. And I'm not going to do any of that. And I don't have a place to display necessarily all of that stuff that comes with it. I don't have a dedicated place in the house where I can display such a thing.
Yeah.
So I do think the cost is worth it because, like you said, it's completely for all intents and purposes, it's an all new sculpt.
Yeah.
It's bigger than the 30th version. And
yeah, I think they said that they're using the injection molds from the original, from the 83.
Yeah, but it's bigger than the later releases. And this one has redesigned wings, as I understand it, because it's more accurate to the jet that it was based on. Because the Sky Striker was not, the Sky Striker was not, it was inspired by a real jet.
The F-14 Tomcat.
Right. Made by Northrop Grumman.
Yes.
And this new one is redesigned and more accurate.
And it's licensed.
It's right. Yes. Northrop Grumman gave them the license to make it accurate. So it comes with 2 sets of decals. So if you don't want it to be a Sky Striker, you can make it into a realistic F-14 Tomcat. Or if you're one of those people that has, I don't know, so much disposable income that you want more than one, you can have both.
And not to mention that it comes with 2 sets of tail fins because the box art had black tail fins and the vehicle did not. And so this comes with the gray tail fins and the black tail fins, so you can make it look like the box art finally.
Wow. And I would have never known about that because I didn't even notice in the pictures that there were tail fins, let alone what color they were. And it comes with a reproduction of Ace, the original Ace figure. And it comes with the second pilot that's based on the non-existent Joe that's in the co-pilot seat in the box art.
Yes.
Because, all the planes have the pilots' names on them. Well, Bradley J. Armbruster, which is Ace, he's the only one that got a toy. The other guy, the co-pilot, Lieutenant Wayne Ruffle, was not based on an existing Joe, and he never actually had a figure before.
He was one of the guys working for Hasbro.
Right, but they've designed an all new pilot figure that is that character now. A similar thing happened because on the box art for the Dragonfly, it's airborne in the gunner seat behind Wild Bill, but on the original Dragonfly, Franklin Taltree doesn't have a label on there. The second character, the gunner position, the name on it on the sticker was Sean C. McLaughlin, which was again a non-existent Joe who never came out in the vintage line.
Right.
So Hasbro, way back in the 2001 Real American Hero Collection, created a character named Sidetrack, and he had Sean C. McLaughlin as his file name.
Gotcha.
So they finally had a box art matching name for that. Well, they did the same thing here. The difference is this is actually based on the look of the character from the box art.
Yeah.
Which means he's not wearing an astronaut suit like Ace is. And I understand why they did what they did with Ace, but I still wish we had gotten the Sunbow version of Ace, because Sunbow Ace did not look like, he looked more like a traditional fighter pilot.
See, and I can see what you're saying, but since I had that toy and it was, I played with that thing for, I won't even say hours. I played with that thing for years. And Ace always flew that thing. Nobody else was allowed
No,
pilot seat.
what
So
I'm
I
saying is,
loved that figure.
no, what I'm saying is, I understand why this new Sky Striker comes with a reproduction of the vintage O-ring Ace in the white astronaut suit with the red crotch. And I mean, I understand why they did it, but they did those stretch goals. And I'm really kind of surprised that they don't have an
Like
alternate Ace that looks more like the Sunbow version. I'm not complaining.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, I'm not complaining that they didn't do a Sunbow Ace instead of the. I'm just, I kind of wish that they had done that, because they gave us that fighter pilot version of Scarlet that was only in one part of the animated series briefly, and was actually just wearing those colors, but wasn't actually wearing a flight suit, as I understand it. I don't know. I haven't gone to look at it, but
yeah, I don't know.
I like the obscurity of that. And I really like that they designed that Night Force ripcord.
Yeah.
Who never had a Night Force figure before.
Right.
And this is the first. And so, I mean, it's cool to give us an all new version of ripcord. I mean, that's really cool. Yeah. But and I like that they have the flight technicians for as another stretch goal. So basically their crew for the flag or whatever, you know, the maintenance crew and the guys who do the fueling. And so they've got the bright jackets and stuff. And those are really cool. I just think they needed a fourth stretch goal where it's Sunbow Ace.
Never know, because I've seen them, the HasLab projects where they've surpassed their stretch goals and they've added stuff. So
maybe they will. And if they don't, and if they don't, it's fine. It's not necessary, because again, we're customizers and we can make that happen.
Yeah.
I actually think it's really cool what they're doing.
And I see a lot of people bitching about it, and it's like, you and I had this talk the other day about how G.I. Joe fans are their own worst enemy. You know, it's like, no matter what Hasbro's putting out, a lot of people are bitching about it. They're bitching about there's no O-ring. Now they're bitching about there are O-ring. They're bitching that there's no 6-inch figures. Now they're bitching that there are 6-inch figures. They're bitching because there's no retro line. Now they're bitching because there is a retro line. They're bitching because there's no 4-inch figures. Now they're bitching because there are 4-inch figures. And Hasbro is putting out, you know, G.I. Joe fans have been clamoring for a HasLab project since HasLab was announced several years ago, and they have not even remotely touched it. And I think Hasbro's just testing the waters.
I think they are, because
we'll put this out. We know it's a popular vehicle, and we'll just see if it gets funded. If it gets funded, then, because people are
going to come out with
Star Wars thing was the sail barge, and it was huge. Yeah, but there's more established Star Wars fans, I think. But yeah, I think they're just testing the waters. So I think if the Sky Striker funds, I think we'll see more stuff from HasLab.
No, I think we will. I think, and if it wasn't the 40th anniversary of Real American Hero next year, they might not have gone this route for the first HasLab. But for I think it's a really cool collector's piece.
Yeah, I do too.
I will say this: I'm just glad it's not a HISS tank, because I know you said the HISS tank's not big enough for a HasLab. Well, if you look at all the junk that they put with the Sky Striker, if they had done anything like that with the HISS tank, where they had multiple HISS tanks or diorama pieces or freaking Cobra Army with it, I don't know. However they would have done it, I'm glad that there's not a HISS tank, because I would have to back it then. I would have to put my money where my mouth is, because I will buy every major release.
At the current time, the target goals, they need 10,000 to back it. At the current time, there are 4,596, so they're almost halfway. I have not made up my mind if I'm going to back it yet or not, because I do have a vintage Sky Striker. I actually have two. My second one is not complete. I just haven't put the time and effort into getting the pieces that I'm missing. And I have 4 custom 30th anniversary ones and 2 convention 30th anniversary ones. So I have 4. I made 4 of the Seekers from Transformers. I have the Jetfire and I have the Starscream on top of my 2 vintage ones. So do I really need another Sky Striker? No, not really. But if it funds, I probably will back it. Emily said that she'd get it for me for Christmas.
And if yeah, they really could have. I swear to God, even if they had done a his take as a stretch goal, I'd still be backing the damn thing. But I'm yeah, because I think what people wanted out of HasLab was they wanted something for the classified line. Well,
they wanted something for the classified line, or they wanted a flag. And I don't think people realize how expensive a new flag is going to be.
It's because
somebody's like, I saw a comment on Facebook. I've got to stop looking at comments. It just makes me angry.
Stop reading the comments. Yes, stop reading.
They said for the price of the Sky Striker, we should have gotten a new flag. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I want to live in your perfect world where you think you can get a brand new flag for $230.
Yeah. A new flag, if they do a flag, they're not going to do a flag, but if they were to do a flag, 500 easily.
Minimum. I'm saying 1,000 is my guess.
No, 500 at best. I mean, okay, the sail barge was a $500 vehicle.
Yes.
They're not. Even the Hasbro, or even the HasLabs that they've done for Transformers, they're not that expensive. They're not going over $200 because even though Transformers has a huge market and they probably could, right now they're not. The other HasLab thing that they're doing right now for Star Wars is the Rancor that fits with the 6-inch Black Series figures. Well, I mean, and it's massive. The Rancor is going to be the size of a toddler. So if you have toddlers in the house, what?
It'd be bigger than my dogs.
Yeah, if you've got toddler-sized children in your house, or you've got toddler-sized pets in your house, that Rancor is going to fit right in with them.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to scare the crap out of some of them.
Absolutely.
I don't.
Oh, it would scare the shit out of Jack. He would never. If he saw that.
Because I had the vintage. No. The
Force Awakens Battle Rancor.
Yeah, I had one of those, and they had
I don't know why.
And right around the same era, they had a Return of the Jedi Rancor that came out. I had both of them, and one of them actually fell off the dresser and bumped into my daughter, like fell on my daughter's head. They still have a scar.
She was
on their forehead.
They were attacked by a Rancor.
Yes. My daughter can say they survived a Rancor attack. Because let's put it this way, it was bleeding, and we almost brought them to the hospital to see if they needed stitches because that big heavy thing fell on their head because they were messing around. They hit the dresser because the Rancors were on top of one of the kids' dressers, and they hit the dresser and the Rancors came tumbling down. One of the kids happened to be underneath it. But both Rancors apparently still exist because they're at the other house. They're at Blake's mother's house, and apparently they're still on display there. So, but So I mean, the HasLab, it's cool, but I don't need a toddler-sized rainbow.
I'm not a huge 6-inch fan, but segue into the rest of the Hasbro Pulse announcements. They announced a whole bunch of 6-inch classified figures, which I have to say look fucking amazing.
The classified line is going to keep getting better, which I said at the beginning. They're going to keep improving it. They're going to keep tweaking it, and they're going to make it's going to truly become a showpiece collector's line. That's exactly what they've done.
Sure is.
That Spirit figure is gorgeous.
It is. It is a work of art. It is. It is beautiful. I'm
the classified line.
That's one of the things I don't like about the Star Wars Black Series is like they're making me buy figures in a different scale that I don't collect, of figures that I already own in the scale that I do like. But man, these figures, holy crap, they look nice. The Croc Masters, Spirit. People are bitching about the fact that Outback is in the Tiger Force colors. I love that Tiger Force look. That figure looks amazing. I've already pre-ordered it. I liked it that much.
Tiger Force Outback was a European exclusive in the vintage line. And that figure is so cool that if you pretend that it's not Tiger Force and he's just he's just a bearded guy with white hair, I think that figure is cool enough that it can stand out. You can separate it from I think that's why they started with Outback for Tiger Force, because it's iconic. He's such a collector favorite of a thing.
Yeah.
That I'm not surprised they're paying tribute to it in the 6-inch line. I'm not surprised they're starting with it. This absolutely guarantees that you're going to get a traditionally painted Outback at some point.
Absolutely. Which I will pick up one of those too. Outback was a huge favorite as a kid.
I can't believe what they've done with because way back when the classified line first started last year, I remember I put that Hot 10 daily list of things I wanted to see in the classified line. Well, Spirit was on my list. I think it was the second one that I posted. So I'm glad that he's finally getting a figure. Okay, yeah. As I went through that list every day, they'd get more absurd. And they'd get more esoteric.
Yes.
I remember Metalhead and Super Trooper also being, come on, they're not gonna come on.
The Metalhead I could kind of see. I mean, some of the stuff they've done, I could see them doing Metalhead. Super Trooper, no way.
But if they were to do Metalhead, he would be super badass and wicked looking.
Yeah, it would be a deluxe figure. I think they would do something, and they do and like I did for my custom and make, like an exosuit with huge launchers.
Yeah. I mean, and I do think there's a chance that it could happen. Because so far the only deluxe figure that they've done is Snake Eyes, but he comes with Timber. But now they're doing Crocmaster, who comes with Fiona. His pet crocodile didn't have a name until now. And I watched the stream, the Hasbro Pulse stream, and Fiona was put on the production art, like on the production sketches. They didn't expect it to actually carry through to the full product, but they kind of settled on that name. They liked it, so they decided that. And Fiona is one damn impressive because it's completely realistic. They looked at all the reference materials they could find for real crocodiles, and they made it look like a crocodile. That Crocmaster is badass looking. Spirit's gorgeous. Storm Shadow, finally, look, the traditional Storm Shadow. Yeah. After all the bitching about Arctic Storm Shadow, which was basically a takeoff on Ninja Force Storm Shadow, everybody should have known that they were going to do a traditional Storm Shadow at first.
Zero surprise there.
Again, like Tiger Force Outback, yeah, they're starting backwards with an obscure version. But that's because they're making way for the for a proper original one later. Because let's put it this way. Instead of Arctic Storm Shadow, which looks a lot like Ninja Force Storm Shadow, if they had done traditional white ninja suit Storm Shadow right out of the gate, would it have been as well done as this one is? No. And would people have been bitching about it? Yes, yes, they would have. The same way people were bitching about the same way they've already gone back and updated Snake Eyes and gave him the Commando version because they could do it better later. The first classified stuff, they were getting their feet wet. They were trying it out. They were going to see what they, and some of them, like Destro, I think they could do better. I think they can definitely do better. And I think when they get around to doing another Destro, I think it will be better. Because right after I got classified Destro out of the package, he was really cool at first. And then I suddenly realized there was a lot of that it was lacking.
Yeah.
So, but they waited to do Storm Shadow, and now they're doing it properly.
Yeah. Storm Shadow Spirit. There's a Cobra Officer that looks really nice.
I like the Officer better than the Cobra Infantry figure because I have the Infantry figure.
I do too.
I'm not that impressed with it. It looks cool, but the Officer looks cooler. I haven't pre-ordered because on Big Bad Toy Store the first day they had a wave pre-order with Spirit, Storm Shadow, and Mystery figure, and then Mystery figure was announced the other day at that 10/27 event.
Yep.
Where it was a Cobra Officer. Because even Hasbro posted on Facebook, and they're like, "It's the worst kept secret in the line." So here we're publicly revealing the Cobra Officer for the classified line. Well, that was right on the heels of. Finally, they decided to. Oh well, okay. Wait a minute. At PulseCon, they revealed the Bat too.
I was just going to say, for you army builders out there, you can get the Bat in the original color scheme or the Python Patrol color scheme, which doesn't actually look too bad. I'm not getting it, but wow, I like the look of it. Honestly,
I hate it so much.
I know. I think it looks pretty cool.
Well, as a guy who likes the original Python Patrol, as fuck ugly as they are, I love them anyways.
And I'm a guy that likes the variants of the Bats. I have most all of the variants of the Bats that have come out over the years.
As a guy who's not a big fan of the Bats, I don't care. But
I love that.
I don't. As much as I like the original Python Patrol, I don't like the Python Viper, the classified, because I don't like the classified Viper. I don't like the design of it. I don't like the suit. I don't like the helmet, and I don't like a Python Patrol repaint of it because it's the same sculpt that I don't like. And now it's in more over the top colors. And I understand why they started with the Python Viper. It made me really wish that I liked the classified Viper. Unfortunately, I do not. And so I have no interest in it.
And drum roll, please. Finally, the Alley Viper. All right. So Torpedo may be my absolute favorite G.I. Joe character, but my absolute G.I. Joe figure swings between Night Viper and Alley Viper. And I must have that Alley Viper.
And you can have the one that I didn't order.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you see it up for pre-order, grab me one.
Oh, I will. You know I will. But I'm not going to pre-order one for myself. Yeah, because Chad tagged me in a post and it's on my Facebook, and he's like, "Oh, look," and my response to it was not bad. To which Grogan responded with, "What the hell? Not bad? What do you mean?" And I was like, "Not bad." Here's my stance on the Alley Viper. I am so sick of orange and blue Alley Vipers, I could spit. I was sick of the orange and blue Alley Vipers before the 25th anniversary version came out, and I'm still sick of it.
I cannot.
There's so many repaint. When the internet, when I was a kid, I remember getting the Alley Viper at Toys R Us, in 1989. I got him at the same time I got Snake Eyes version 3 at the Toys R Us here in Niagara Falls. I remember pulling them off the shelf and bringing them over to Nana and Papa's house after and playing with them. I was always a fan of the Alley Viper. Well, fast forward 20 odd years later, and I realized the entire internet that collects Joes is also a huge fan of the Alley Viper, which is nothing wrong with that. But then I started seeing customs that were orange and blue all the time, and tanks that were orange and blue.
I saw one today.
Yeah, and I'm
I saw
like,
a Hits tank that was repainted orange and blue.
It's
in their defense, they did a nice job of it. It was a very
no,
nice
it's cool looking, but I got tired of, more than a decade ago, I got tired of orange and blue Alley Vipers.
Coming from Colorado,
it's a Denver Broncos thing. I get it.
Exactly. We stopped going to church to watch Broncos games on Sundays when I was a kid. My mom bleeds orange and blue. I have zero problems with orange and blue on a figure. Now, do I think it's practical? Absolutely not. No, I would love to see Alley Viper in urban camo colors. Never. Let me finish. They've never done an Alley Viper in proper urban camo, and I think they should, but I will be so happy to have this one.
They sort of ish have.
No, I know which version you're talking about, and it's not proper.
No, but
I want to see proper urban camo on an Alley.
No, but it's as close as they've got.
Yes, agreed. And I'm saying it's not close enough.
But here's my thing with. Okay, firstly, I don't have a problem with the orange and blue being bright and obnoxious, because I figure by the time Cobra sends in the Alley Vipers for urban pacification, it's too late anyways. They don't need to be subtle. You're going to see them coming.
Yeah, there's nothing subtle about an Alley Viper.
What?
There's nothing. Read the file card, and there's nothing subtle about an Alley Viper.
Right, which is why I don't have a problem with the bright colors, because it comes down to by the time you see the Alley Vipers marching in, the situation is completely fucked anyways. Everybody's going to die, and it doesn't matter. And there's no hiding any. And I'm fine with all of that. I don't care about any of that. It's just they've done so many different Alley Vipers over the years that I will look forward to a repaint of this that is not the classic figure. Because again, I loved that figure when I was a kid, but I grew tired of seeing that Alley Viper over and over again. And there's just been so many Alley Vipers.
If I can get a couple of them, this will be my first classified custom, because I will do one in urban camouflage.
Now, if I get one, maybe I'll customize it into a later version of the Alley Viper, because they've done lots of color schemes over the years.
Yeah, I have.
And I kind of hope that they'll do another classified one, even if it's an exclusive, that is in one of the later color schemes.
Because I wouldn't mind seeing that either, honestly.
I mean, in the vintage line, they had the yellow and black ones.
I like
version
that
2.
color. Yeah, I like that version 2.
And then for version 3, they went back to the orange and blue, but it wasn't done the same way. And then in 1997, they had that dark blue one that came with the Rage tank. And then in 2001, that's when they started repainting the Alley Viper all the time. And in the span of like 3 years, there were like 6 different versions of the Alley Viper in different color schemes. There was,
so you got the Pursuit of Cobra one.
Right. And then not to mention the Valor versus Venom one, which was one fucking stupid looking figure, but it was the first Alley Viper wearing Cobra blue. And so it does have some merit there. But I think classified Alley Viper, I do think it's pretty cool. I don't like the boots on it. The boots drive me nuts. The boots annoy the crap out of me.
The one thing that I'm hoping this will do, I mean, this will surprise nobody that knows me and sees the customs that I do. I hope this opens the door for more classified specialty Vipers.
I now we knew the Alley Viper was coming because in the very first
It's on the box
classified,
art.
yeah, it's in the box art. It's been there since the beginning, and the fact that this figure looks just like it does in that art is not a surprise. So
it's a little different than the box art. The figure is definitely more of an homage to the vintage one. If you look at the faceplate, on the box art, it looks like they did something. They finally made the logo on the faceplate look like a FLIR, like heads up camera. It's definitely, it's not the same. So
no, but I mean,
it's close, but
figure,
it's not the same. It is
no, but the classified figure looks like that art, right? Or you're saying the classified figure is different than the art?
The classified figure is different than the art. It looks more like the vintage figure.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There are subtle differences. Not a lot, but there are subtle differences.
Yeah, because every Alley Viper since the original has done some variation on that look. I'm kind of surprised that this one still has one thing. There has never been an Alley Viper figure that looked like the card art, because
where
in the original card art
down low enough to see the eye.
But it's got a cut across the top of it, so the face shield comes down, but the eyes are visible between the rim of the helmet and the top of the visor. They have never done a figure that captures that.
I took a Dremel and I dremeled it down.
Yeah, but Hasbro's never done it. The follow-up Alley Viper didn't have the same face shield. It had like the more animalistic
Cobra,
one that, yeah. So it didn't have that problem. The 25th version just had the drop down visor again, but again, it did not have the visible eyes. And this one doesn't either. No. And I kind of expected that they were actually going to do that, and I'm surprised they didn't.
Now that you mentioned, I am kind of surprised that A, they either didn't do it, or B, they didn't include a second face shield.
That something like that, yeah. Because honestly, the way they've got it, because when the original Alley Viper came out, there was no such thing as computer interface with a heads-up display. Now there is. Yes. So there's no reason why the Alley Viper's eyes need to be visible, because chances are they've got a digital display inside there and a camera on their helmet, so they don't need to look out. But I'm just kind of surprised that in this line they didn't do an alternate faceplate that looked like that card art.
I think
they didn't do it for the 25th line either.
Yeah, I think a second faceplate would have been a fantastic idea.
And one of my, because the Alley Viper in the 25th line was part of that Defense of Cobra Island 7-pack. And that was one of my initial disappointments there, was that he still had the weird faceplate. My other disappointment there is that Alley Viper was too skinny.
It was too skinny, and the sculpt, I don't think the sculpt really held up very well over time.
No, it didn't, because, well, the vest was
the more I think about it, I think it's because, like you said, it's not beefy like an Alley Viper should be.
No, because if you look at the original Alley Viper in the vintage line, even though that era, the Joes were beefier than the early stuff, I still got the sense that the Alley Viper was supposed to look like that. It was supposed to be big, bulky guys wearing urban pacification riot armor.
Yeah, I mean,
they were supposed to be
about how much gear that they carry.
Yeah, they're supposed to be big, burly dudes in this armor. And the 25th version was based on a Snake Eyes figure, and it was too skinny in the first place. And the repaints they did of it also had the same problem. As much as I'd like
Pursuit of Cobra Alley Viper, while the color scheme was very cool, I liked the dark maroon.
It was a repaint of the same figure, so it's too
and
skinny.
it came with a different helmet too. So I mean, it had a second helmet that you could switch it out for.
Oh, that's cool. But
with goggles.
Well, and then that's right. It had the traditional helmet with the that's right. There was because even because I like the 2001 version of the Alley Vipers in with the gray and blue camo and the blue armor pieces, but it's a repaint of the 1997 Alley Viper, which used Alley Viper version 2, so it was big and bulky on top, but it had the legs off the 84 Duke. So the legs are too skinny compared to the rest of the body. And that's what kept happening later, unintentionally. And I will be curious if this Alley Viper, because I've seen the pictures and it does look cool, but I'm wondering if it's bulky enough to really fit the image of the Alley Viper that we have from the file card.
I'm kind of hoping they should have used hopefully they'll use like a roadblock buck for it.
I mean, that would be ideal. So yeah, he's kind of roadblock size, kind of or outback size, because during the Hasbro Pulse stream, they specifically called out that this new sculpt of Outback is bigger than Duke and smaller than Roadblock because he's jacked, but he's not supposed to be the mountain of a guy like Roadblock is, but he's like he's muscular. So the way they're doing Outback is he's supposed to be in between those sizes, and I think the Alley Viper needs to be too. There are no photos of there's photos of the Alley Viper with the bats, but no other figures, so we can't really tell how big it's supposed to be.
Right.
So I'm kind of curious. And you know what? If he is big and bulky, I probably will end up getting one. I just kind of wish. I kind of wish we would have done. They would have done something else with it, but I don't specifically know what. And if they had, people would be bitching about it anyways.
Agree. So, no, I'm just happy that it's it is definitely ties for my top favorite G.I. Joe figure of all time. And I am ecstatic to see that it's getting made. I just hope that they're not as hard to get a hold of. I've been lucky and been able to get, for me, for what I've seen, I'm not interested in the Viper. I'm not interested in the original Cobra Trooper that came out in the classified line. So to me, the figures that I have that have been hard to get have been the Baroness, have been Firefly, and have been Major Blood. And I have all three of those. So I've been lucky to get the harder to find figures. I just hope my luck holds out for this particular. I'm worried that because it's an army builder that people are going to buy 50 of these things and they're going to sit on them or they're going to scalp them. And I'll be happy with one. I'd be happy with two so I could keep one in the box, but I would ideally want three because I do want to do a custom.
Well, both of those things are going to happen. People are going to army build them. They are going to scalp them. At least it's not an exclusive. It is a general release.
So and I've seen all the general release stuff at retail. I've seen Cobra Commander, Flint, and Lady J. So I've seen the more recent releases at retail. So I'm holding out hope for this, but I pre-ordered the second it goes up somewhere just to get one.
I've still never seen Major Blood in person.
I haven't either. I got it through a trade though.
Yeah, well, I know, but you have it. But yeah. I've still never seen that figure in person. So if it wasn't for knowing that you had one because you held him up in our review, I would still think he was an internet hoax. And while I was at your house last time, I did not even look for it. So
I
I
didn't even
still,
think about that.
so I
I was
still
like, I should have
haven't
showed
seen,
that to you when you were visiting.
right, but I still haven't seen Major Blood in person. I haven't held the figure. So eventually, maybe, possibly.
Yeah,
I
next time
skipped
you're out.
Firefly. Um, um, but I mean, I have most of the classified stuff. I'm not a big fan of troopers in this scale in general. I have an infantry figure, but I'm probably going to use it for a character at some point because I really don't want an army build at this scale. But really, for the 6-inch stuff, I like to see what they do with it. But I'm more into the characters, and they are, you know. But I,
Like I said,
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
just hoping for some more specialty Vipers. I'd like to, hell, I'd like to see a 6-inch Toxo Viper in the original colors, the horrible color schemes. Yeah, I'd like to. I don't know. It's no surprise to anybody that follows my work that I'm a huge fan of specialty Vipers. I started off making customizing specialty Vipers, and the last couple of years I've been working on female versions of the specialty Vipers, along with some more like I my profile picture right now on Facebook, it changed when I changed my Instagram. I put up my range Viper, and it changed my profile picture on my Facebook. And that's one of my favorite customs is my range Viper, because that thing just looks mean.
yes, yes, it does.
And that's what I like, is re-envisioning those things to make them look the badass that they are on the file card that they
Yeah, as
them.
opposed to the original figure, which is strange bright blue and kind of showy, kind of more showy than it should be. I would like to, I don't know if they're going to make a Night Viper. I would like to see it.
Oh, I would kill for a Night Viper.
I would really like to see an Iron Grenadier in the classified line. Because they did it, they did an Iron Grenadier in the Sigma 6 line, and they did an Iron Grenadier. I don't think it looked enough like an Iron Grenadier in the 6-inch in the Sigma 6 line, but they did it. And then they did it in the Spy Troops line in the New Sculpt era. So I would really like to see classified Iron Grenadier if they do it. I mean, it because that bat, I'm not a big fan of the bats, and I don't care. I don't care about this one.
Honestly, if I am able to come across one, I will pick one up. If I find one on Amazon for retail price, I will pick it up. If I see it at Target online for retail price, I'll pick one up. I'm not going to go out of my way.
I don't feel particularly compelled to get the bat. I'm more than happy to leave them for somebody else that cares that much. But I can acknowledge that the figure is friggin' sweet looking.
Yeah, it is.
And it's what makes me really wish that we could see an Iron Grenadier. Perhaps, maybe someday. But I want to see a classified Televiper. Curious what they would do with it.
I'm still trying to work out how to do a decent female Televiper. It's on my list, but I haven't figured it out yet.
Well, and the original Televiper always left a lot to be desired sculpt wise, and they never did him right in the 25th line. The Televipers they put in that line, yeah, they sucked. I mean, they sucked. They haven't
made a decent Televiper.
No, they have never,
not counting the original. I like the original. It was one of my first specialty Vipers, if not the first special. I think it's probably my first specialty Viper.
It was a good figure at the time ish. I never liked the legs on it, but they have still never made a Televiper that's as cool as they looked in the cartoon. So kind of hoping maybe they'll do that in the classified line at some point. But
I as much as I said I would not support this line, you know what, if they make a specialty Viper, I'll buy it.
Well, And as much as I said from the beginning that I'm supporting this line no matter what, there's been some that I've skipped. But I want to see. Yeah, there's a few that just there's some figures that just they're so detailed. I'd love to see what they would do with them at this scale. Serpentor.
To me, it's I still have a problem with the scale, but to me, seeing these new announcements, to me, it's taking me back almost to the point of when the Pursuit of Cobra line came out. That is by far, hands down, my favorite line of GI Joe, not including the vintage line. Obviously, I mean, it's you can't touch the vintage line, but for GI Joes, since I've been collecting after the vintage line, the Pursuit of Cobra is absolutely my favorite line of GI Joe figures ever. They had the best paint apps, they had the best sculpts, they had some of the best reimaginations of existing characters, they had some of the best new characters. It was a fantastic line, and seeing this Hasbro Pulse announcement just kind of takes me back to when GI Joe was putting out spectacular figures, and that's what these 6-inch figures are. I am eating crow here and saying it, but these are amazing looking figures.
Well, as a guy who will support GI Joe in every iteration, no matter what, 6 new sculpt, all of it. I don't care. I said from the beginning the classified was great, but they're really hitting a stride here. Hang on a minute.
And I will be curious to see where they go with it. I thought barbecue was kind of an esoteric pick, but seeing people are getting the barbecue figure in hand, a couple of guys Facebook, I won't call them, they're not necessarily Facebook friends, but some of the people in the Facebook groups that I belong to are getting their barbecue today, and I like the figure. I think it looks great. And I think what they're doing, I like how they're taking the Real American Hero figures and they're making decent 6-inch figures with them. As much as I don't like 6-inch figures and would much rather have figures, these aren't bad. I like it.
As a guy who never gets hung up on scale, I'm glad to see. As weird as you think the choice of barbecue is, I still think it's because somebody working at Hasbro is a big barbecue fan, so they had a chance, so they put it in there, which is good. I didn't order that figure, and I kind of wish I had.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that too.
Maybe I'll see one at some point. Maybe not, since I've never seen Major Blood. But I mean, it's possible. Maybe. I want to see.
I think there's more demand for Major Blood than there is barbecue, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well. I mean, maybe they'll ship more barbecues than they did Major Bloods. Maybe. I don't. They've done better with the distribution on these things. They've upped the numbers on the Target exclusives a lot. So
well, they've been able to get them off their Target website too.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's how I got Firefly.
Now that barbecue is shipping to the pre-orders, maybe they'll be available again on the website. So, but yeah, I'm really curious what else they're gonna do, because I don't know how they're gonna top the efforts that they did on Spirit, Outback, and Storm Shadow. Those are fucking dynamite looking figures.
I think they will top the effort on the Outback by just making the original Outback. I'm looking forward to that figure because I think it will be a thing of beauty. In fact, I was joking with one of my Facebook friends the other day. He said that he said, does anybody have an extra classified Outback flashlight, because he's he's just sure that he's lost his already, even though that he hasn't even pre-ordered the figure yet. And I said, I've already lost mine, and I haven't even, it's just been announced. So
there are straps on it in the classified line that you can strap, you can slip it into straps on his leg so it doesn't get lost.
nice.
Because I specifically saw that in the pictures. I'm like, aha, they addressed the lost flashlight. He's got like it's like leather straps around his legs so you can lash the.
Yeah, because I have a vintage Outback. The gun is in, the strap is still intact. I have the harness. It doesn't have a flashlight.
Yeah, so yeah, they did address the flashlight concern with this one, which I'm amused by. But hey, remember when we did this show and it was supposed to be a short show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How come that never works out?
I don't know. I should probably get going because we are going to get up and.
I was gonna say you've got to be up early to get to the convention. But
yeah, I'm at my in-laws' house right now. That's why I'm using the background for Zoom. I put this up because Gates McFadden, Dr. Crusher, was supposed to be at the Denver Comic-Con tomorrow, which is the one autograph my wife wanted, because she has the old Playmates Star Trek: The Next Generation figures on cards and that are autographed. So she's gotten autographs from Riker, Geordi, Wesley. I don't think she has Worf, and we do have Data, and we would have had Q, but she wanted something else signed by John DeLance instead.
What'd she get signed instead?
I don't remember. She wanted something else signed by John DeLance. She didn't want a Q action figure. But Gates McFadden, Worf, and Patrick Stewart, I think, are the only three that she doesn't have from like most. Oh, and her favorite character, Barkley.
That's right. She does. Yeah, she does have Dwight Schultz autograph.
Yeah, she's a huge Lieutenant Barkley fan. So that was her first one.
Yeah, because when I was there at your house last at the beginning of the month, I remember looking at that on the wall and saying, "Oh, cool, she's got Dwight Schultz autograph."
So she has most of she doesn't have Deanna Troy's either. So she's got a significant portion of the crew of the Next Generation. So she was really looking forward to getting Gates McFadden. And of course, I was just looking forward to meeting one of the Starfleet doctors. So as a medical professional, I grew up.
Oh, you haven't met any of the doctors then? No. Oh, sad.
No. But she canceled. So she's not going to be there. However, the autograph I am going for tomorrow is Christopher Eccleston is going to be there. You, of course, remember him. He was the Ninth Doctor in Doctor Who. He was Destro in the first G.I. Joe movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was the first Doctor Who I ever watched was his first episode.
He was the big bad in the Nick Cage version of Gone in 60 Seconds. He was the Malik in Thor: Dark World. He's been in a lot of stuff that a lot of geeks like.
Yeah.
But I made a Ninth Doctor custom years and years ago and carded it, and I am going to get another one of my customs autographed tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm kind of kicking myself because I normally look to see what comic book artists are going to be there to see if it's anybody that I A, recognize, and B, if it's somebody that I would like to get their autograph. And I'm like, wouldn't it be kind of a kick in the ass if Jamie Tyndale was going to be there, because I've used his Don Moreno art to make the Storm Shadow variant, and he did a fantastic picture, fantastic drawing of Baroness in dive gear with the eels coming up out of the water. It's probably my favorite G.I. Joe piece of art ever. And I have used his art for cards for those 2 customs. I'm like, wouldn't it be a kick in the ass if he's there tomorrow? And he is. And I didn't know that. And I didn't bring those cards to get those autographed. And I'm kicking myself for it.
Well, you can always meet him and show him the pictures on your phone.
I am going to show. I just saved him to my phone just before the podcast started. So I'm hoping he's got a nice size print of that Baroness art to get autographed tomorrow.
I imagine he will. I should take a look at the guest list and see if there's any artists that I want you to get an autograph for me.
I'll send you a link here as soon as we're done with the show.
But oh yeah, and since I got the custom that you made for the challenge in the mail,
good.
Yesterday. Yep, they're in their cases. So
nice.
Yep. Yeah. So yep, they're in their star cases, so I can put them up on the wall tomorrow.
Awesome. Glad those showed up. I'm really happy with how those came out, man.
Yeah, dude, me too. So I'm really happy I can put them up on the wall now.
And that flash drive, I think, is a very simple custom, but I'm really proud of that backstory on that.
Dude, I love that backstory. It geeks me out so much.
Right? I'm like, I told Emily, I'm like, JD will like fucking lose his shit when he hears the backstory.
And I did. And I still did when I read it again yesterday. I'm like, oh, it's beautiful.
Which reminds me, I've been wanting to say this, but we haven't had a show since we introduced the viewer invitational customizing challenge.
Oh yeah.
If you sign up on the YouTube page, you need to get in touch with and want to be on the show for the reveal. You need to get in touch with either JD or myself through social media, through either of our Facebook pages or my customizing page or the general Geekery page, to give us contact information to get, because we will need an email address for you to get you on the Zoom call for the reveal in February. Yeah. So if you want to be part of the challenge, you don't want to be on the show, not a problem. You send me pictures. I'm going to do a reveal on my Facebook page. It will go on the general Geekery page. It will go on my personal page. It will go on JD's personal page. If you want to be on the show, you've got to get in touch with us. I can't stress that enough. There's been 3 or 4 people that have signed up on the YouTube page, in YouTube comments, but you've got to get me or JD contact information so we can get you on the show.
So have you done anything with the challenge yet, or not yet? You had at least you have your thing picked out, right?
I got the figure with the head that I need. That's about it.
I am absolutely nowhere on it. I have made no progress. I have made no decisions. I do not know what I'm going to do with it. And I'm no closer to deciding that than I was when we first put the challenge out, but I've got time. And
I'm rethinking it too because of what somebody posted on one of my pages. So yeah.
Wait, what? Like, what was it?
Somebody posted something and it was pretty close to what I had in mind. So
I see. So you kind of have to pick something else that isn't.
I'm thinking about it, but I've been wanting to make this particular custom for a long time, and it's something that's been requested of me previously by multiple people. So I may still go with it. And I've got like an idea for card art. I mean, I've got like a whole parts list planned out, and I've got it planned out what I want to do. There's going to be a lot of sculpting involved, but so I don't know. I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah, and I'm no closer than I was. So, so this is why I'm so glad the deadline is January, because I'll get there eventually.
So yeah, remember the deadline. We don't really have a deadline when you have to be done, but we are going to do the reveal in the middle of January. So you need to have it done by then. I need contact myself or JD needs contact information.
Yeah.
If you want to be on the show, cannot stress that enough. Get in touch with us through social.
Yeah, because
I have
ideally,
I have an Instagram account. I have 2 Facebook accounts.
Well, and even I started using my Instagram kind of, sort of. Okay, I've got one thing posted, but I'll get there. But I ideally would like to see all of our participants on the show with us. I understand if not everybody wants to be, that's cool. But I would love it if all the participants appeared on the show with us.
Absolutely. And I don't know if there's a limit to how many people we can have on a particular Zoom call.
No, you. I've seen. I've watched. I've watched streams online of Zoom calls that have like 20 people on them.
Okay.
You just, everybody has to have an opportunity to speak. But sign up for the challenge. Listen to our challenge podcast. And
it was the last show.
Yeah,
absolutely. More viewers. I think Sean Grogan is accepted the challenge. Pretty sure Johnny from KR Customs accepted the challenge. I'm pretty sure Daniel from Vega Customs accepted the challenge. I think maybe Panama might be doing something. I haven't talked to him recently to see if he's in or not. But a lot of the guests that we've had on the show recently are going to participate in this. And these are some of the best customizers ever. So there's going to be a lot of cool people doing a lot of cool shit. So if you want to get in with this, please join us. We would like to have as many people as possible because we would like to do this again. This is something that I don't know about Jay. I can't speak for JD, but this is something that I would like to do on a regular basis, at least once a year, is have a viewer participation.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
I think any more than once a year is too much because I think it puts a lot of pressure on people. And
plus, we have to have time for our yearly challenge of each other. But yeah, people are just busy. There's a lot going on. The world is a crazy, crazy place.
Exactly. So I think once a year, we would like to do a viewer participation customizing challenge. Like I mentioned earlier about HasLab testing the waters with the Sky Striker to see if people would join in. That's pretty much what we're doing with this. We're testing the waters to see how many people we can get interested in this, because we're hoping to next time we do this, we can get more. And of course, one of the biggest things that we do on this show is try to inspire people to either start customizing or customize more, because it really is a fun and rewarding hobby. And I mean, half of my channel is tutorials on how to customize, how to help take better pictures of your customs, every aspect of customizing.
I actually watch those tutorials, even if I don't need the tips and tricks, because, well, I like watching the show where I'm not interrupting you ever. So, but
all right. So, yes, one more time, if you are wanting to be on the show, get in touch with either JD or myself, please. Yes, you can sign up in the comments on the Facebook channel, but you got to get in touch with us if you want to be on the show, because I need contact information to set up the call. All right. I think that's about all for our short show this week. As always, thank you for watching. Please do that fun social media stuff. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Night, everybody. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.